but I didn't pull the trigger. And now I'm like kicking myself for not doing it because I know I could have made money off of those. But at the same time, I'm like, it's okay because I've got plenty of stuff to list. I've got a ton of inventory. So I'm happy with it. I'm happy with what we got. I spent enough money as it is anyway.
So you're mainly at the bench, right, Stephen? I mean, that's where you get the majority of your stuff, correct?
Yeah, the Amazon liquidation stores. Yeah. I would say like 85% of all my inventory comes from there. If not 85 to 95%, all my stuff comes from there.
And then you're just filling in like when you occasionally go to the yard sales and stuff like that. So
yeah, because we go Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. But the ones that's up at my house, like they've dropped down so bad in quality, like it's horrible. So mainly just the main one that I go to over in Concord. It's like $15 with tax for every item. But I mean, you can get some really good stuff. You just have to be very, very careful because they say Amazon doesn't sell knockoff stuff, but they do. So you have to be very careful on stuff that you pick up. You have to do enough research to be able to know, okay, this is real, this is not real. And I mean, luckily I've only gotten 2 Veros in the 3 years I've been on eBay so far. So I've gotten lucky. But
Steven, is that bin store that had just opened? Is that one you're referring to? Is that one of those that you go to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they it's called Where You Been, based out of Concord, and they've got some other locations around as well. I think South Carolina, they got some in Ohio, and like I want to say there's like 5 locations, 5 or 6, something like that. And there's another one that's opening up. I'm super excited. It's in Concord as well. It's called Treasure Hunt, and it's cheaper. So I'm definitely going to be doing a video about that one. So I'm excited.
We have one of those bin stores kind of like that near my house. I've only been a handful of times because it's really not the kind of stuff I sell, but I think it's one of those like everything on Friday, $7, everything on Saturday, $6, then 5 on Sunday, 2 on Monday, and $1 on Tuesday. And then, they're closed Wednesday and Thursday while they restock the bins. So, I mean, the times I've been, I found a few things to sell, but since I'm mostly doing vintage and antique, it's just kind of outside of what I normally do. But so what about you, Doug? Where do you get most of your stuff? I mean, are you a big yard sale person?
Yeah, I get, I'm going to say 90% of my stuff, yard sales, garage sales. Then the rest of it is either, plucking stuff off next door and dropping it on Facebook or, setting it on eBay. Again, it's just the thrill of the hunt on Saturday morning to head out. And it's tough down here because it's Fridays and Saturdays down here. And it's like, I have a full-time job, so I don't get to do the Friday, get in there on Friday to get good stuff. I mean, there's still good stuff on Saturdays, but there's a lot of Friday sales. The estate sales down here the same way. They run them 3 days. And it's like,
yeah,
who are they? I mean, they got to have a particular type of clientele they're marketing to do a Friday because I don't know. It just seems like
that'd be me.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always at the Friday yard sales or Thursday yard sales if they have them. So
sure.
Well, but to be fair, Stewart, I mean, you've got 3 different stores that you have to buy for, correct? That you have to keep inventory in.
Yeah, I mean, three antique booth locations, and then plus, I sell in the 6 online marketplaces, and then throw whatnot on top of that. So, yeah, I mean, sourcing for me is never. I mean, anybody resells, it's a never-ending thing, but it's especially crucial when I got so much space to fill. So, but yeah, and so what about you, Wes? Where do you get most of your inventory? Is it yard sales? Would you say, or you?
I mean, during the summer, yes, but I go to Ambets a lot, like I know that you do, over in Alcoa and Knoxville locations both, because They generally have really good prices. They haven't.
The one in West Knoxville, they got a new pricer at the one in West Knoxville, and they jacked their prices. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
Well, it's all coming. I mean, it's all coming. The those records that I just bought, you know, I showed you all some of those. We talked about them the other day. They went from $199. Now they're up to $399. 2 days ago.
At AMVETS?
No, this is at Goodwill.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Goodwill. They raised their record prices a couple of months ago. AMVETS on records and books are still, 79 cents all books, 99 cents all records. So I get a lot of books and records at those places. But yeah, I mean, for me, like I would say the split and my split of how I source stuff really changed pre-COVID and post-COVID. Like pre-COVID, I was probably 90% in-person auctions. There were 3 auctions my wife and I went to every week. We went to one on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. And being in person, it was real easy to find value because you're only competing against the 100 people in the room or however many people happen to be there. But of course, when COVID hit, all the auctions shut down for a short period of time. And when they reopened online only for the most part. There's still a few in-person auctions around. But, I get why they did it. Instead of selling to 100 people, they're selling to the internet now. They don't have as much overhead because they're not having to pay runners and pay auctioneers and all that stuff. But it makes it so much harder to find value like in auctions. Now, I still buy stuff. I probably buy at least 1 or 2 things every week from Fountain City Auction here in Knoxville. In fact, I got to go pick up one of those stereoscopic viewers, that have the little 3D cards. They're kind of like Preview Master things. I won one of those, so I got to go pick it up next week. But like post-COVID, I would say, yard sales, estate sales are probably, one of my bigger things. I mean, the problem is like, the whole going back to the whole title of this show, which was, are yard sales overrated? I would say absolutely not. The problem with yard sales, in my opinion, is they're just not a consistent sourcing thing necessarily. I mean, you're at the mercy of the weather. You're at the mercy here in Knoxville of UT football games. If there's a UT football game weekend, there are no yard sales or, not many to speak of. So in my opinion, or at least what I found for me, I can't get enough stuff just going to yard sales to like fill my booths and fill all my marketplaces. Now, as far as margin, that's absolutely where you get your best margin stuff. You're picking up stuff for $1 or $2, and selling it for, a ton. But, and then estate sales would be kind of similar to yard sales, although, you're paying more, but it's the same thing. I mean, there's just not enough of them to support, me being a full-time reseller. So, where I found I still do auctions, mostly online because there's not a lot of in-person, but like where I get most of my stuff now is just from relationships I've developed. And I always tell everybody relationships are like the most important thing in reselling, whether you're full-time or part-time. I get at least 1 or 2 calls a week now from people who are like, hey, I've got, my grandmother died, or I've got a friend who's selling stuff or whatever, but it's like going and, having first pick of everything there. So, I mean, I'm constantly handing out business cards at yard sales and even at thrift shops and stuff. I'm always listening, not trying to eavesdrop too much, but just listening for what people are talking about. And if I hear certain trigger words, I might talk to that person and say, oh, hey, are you looking to buy this or sell this, and give them a card. So, I would say yard sales are definitely not overrated. There's just not enough of them, and there's not consistent enough. And then, of course, in Florida, you may have them year round. I mean, here in Tennessee, once November gets here, end of October, they'll completely dry up and go away.
Right. Well, and like you said, Stu, yesterday, UT Vols come on, the whole place just shuts down. They had a noon game yesterday here, and there was no yard sales to be found. I mean, no yard sales. Everybody was more interested in watching Tennessee play. Which, I mean, I understand it. I get it. But, like you were telling Stewart there, or Stewart, you were telling Doug. Doug's got him year round. He told me that the other night. So, Doug, you pretty much have the pick of the litter And obviously, you don't think they're overrated for sure.
Definitely don't think they're overrated. But I went out yesterday. What is today? Today's Sunday, right? I'm trying to think because I get tomorrow off of work. So I went out yesterday morning, and I usually I have a loop. Like if I don't do I've got enough stuff to sell too. But if I just want to go out and do a loop, I'll do my usual loop, and there'll be half a dozen or so yard sales in this loop. There wasn't one yard sale yesterday morning that I could find. I found a sign, but I couldn't find the yard sale, which I was really, really surprised. I ended up going to a thrift shop that I'd never been to before, and it was pretty. It was a church thrift that runs, only open Friday and Saturday. Then all during the week they get new stuff in. So that's one place I'm going to start hitting more. It's just that thrift shop. I have I mentioned I have a Goodwill within 2 miles of my house, but it just seems like that Goodwill is just selling so much of their good stuff, through their own marketplace. It's like it's not even fun to go looking. It's like you're almost embarrassed looking in Goodwill now. It's just like you're not going to find anything.
And that begs the question:
tough.
Is it drying? Is it drying everything up since that's happening?
I think so. I haven't found one category in Goodwill where you'll find something pop through. I mean, even their golf clubs. I mean, they have a rack of golf clubs that there's nothing in there. You used to be able to find like a brass putter or something like that in there. The occasional ping. When I know you picked some ping up, Wes, you told me about those. So you'd be able to pick up, but it's like not anymore. They know what it's worth, and I think they have a line to where if we can't get more than $20, whatever online for this, they'll stick it in their store and maybe give some people some breaks. But I think the bigger priced items, they're easier to ship too. Of course, they have all the manpower. They could ship an elephant if they want to.
Yeah.
So it'd be easy enough for them just to ship whatever they want to ship. So, but yeah, I haven't been there for 6 months, probably the Goodwill.
Sounds like we need to go to Ohio and yard sale. Old School Flip says Ohio's really good for yard sales, and Colorado was good too. Yeah, I mean, yard sales are still good in Tennessee. Although I will say this summer's been so hot that that's another limiting thing for the yard sales. So I'm really hoping. I know, like, here's what happens in Knoxville. So in April, sometime early May, you have 1 million like neighborhood yard sales, which are good and bad. I mean, I like neighborhood yard sales, but a lot of times you tend to. I mean, it's so crowded when the neighborhoods have them, and people just tend to put out like whatever. It's not always great stuff, and a lot of kids stuff at neighborhood yard sales I found, but I've still found good stuff there. Then you get in the heat of the summer a lot of times, and you don't have a lot in, say, mid-June through, say, this time frame, August. But I know there's a couple of really big neighborhoods having yard sales middle of this month. So I'm looking forward to those. And they're like older neighborhoods too, where you might, find some better stuff. My two brothers and I, we're actually doing a brothers trip to Dayton. We got a house on the lake, and we're going to just spend Friday and Saturday doing nothing but yard selling. So I'm hoping there'll be some that week somewhere between Knoxville and Chattanooga, because Dayton's kind of right between the two. So we'll kind of have our pick of which direction we go.
Well, here's a shameless plug, Stewart. On Wednesday night, 8:00 on the Slim Flippers, I'm going to be interviewing the Old School Flips. He's going to join me.
Oh, awesome.
Wednesday night. So you can
I'll definitely
hear him, see what he has to say.
Tune in for that.
Well, so community sales are going to start hopping here. This is September. So community fall and spring are big community sale time down here. I know the community I live in, theirs will be in, I think, first, second weekend in October. And there's a neighbor, and we're talking thousands of houses in these neighborhoods. It's not gated. The one I'm in is not gated, but so those are coming. So it's like, all right, I'm getting my garage organized and I'm chucking stuff out the doors. Like, I'm not dealing with this thing. Or I was telling Steve, and I just do away a bunch of stuff. I had a bag of those stupid McDonald's Beanie Babies from, I forget what year it was. And I got online today checking the comps, and like these things are crap. They're gone out in the trash can. So
Trash.
So everybody's been bit by the Beanie Baby bug. So
Yeah, we've all been bit.
if we can find some sort of market, it's like used golf balls in Florida. If you can find something to do with a used golf ball, you'd be a billionaire because everybody got 50 of them for sale in a bucket at a yard sale down here. So if we can just find something to do with golf balls, we'd be all set.
So believe it or not, used golf balls do sell on eBay and whatnot.
Do they really?
Just saying. Oh God, yeah. So you go on.
You need to be getting some egg crates and start loading those things up.
I tell you what, let's
I could feel
we're talking about
Take it up there and show him, Steve.
golf balls. Okay.
Let me.
Hey Doug, while he's doing that, I'm curious. Your Jeep, all you gotta do is take the top down, okay? I'm wondering if you've made any of those curb finds. You know, when people just set things out on the curb and you pull up and just go through it and chuck it in your Jeep. You been doing that?
Yeah. That's. I have no shame to do that. I mean, matter of fact, there was just 2 doors down here in my house. They had set out. You remember the Bombay company there from years ago? They used to have. It was like a chatka type of place, and they set out 2 Bombay butler and maid holding the tray. They were just at the curb. I'm like, all right, and that's $1.50 each right there. So it's like I snagged those. Like, and then at the yard sale following weekend, I found a I don't know what the terminology is. You probably know, Stewart. It's a fake melted ice cream bowl of ice cream, but it's a Ben & Jerry's cardboard carton tipped over with a spoon and the ice cream's melted in it. I don't know what those are because I know there's a slang for those. But I gotta set it on the Bombay tray. So he's holding the tray of melted ice cream. I love it. It's perfect.
Okay. So I don't know how this is going to work or how it's going to look. So I went to eBay and I just put in used golf balls in bulk, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 250 listings that are listed. Those are listed comps. 606 sold. All right, so let me. How do I do this?
Doug's leaving tonight. He's going to go searching.
I live near a golf course. I'm going to go in the pond right now.
I'm telling you.
Mask.
All right, share screen. Use golf balls. Share. Okay, so here we are. So, I mean, you're getting them for free. So you're not paying a dime for these things, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can get 150 golf balls, bulk, $60 free shipping. Shipping's going to be a little bit much, but you either use Pirate Ship or Shippo, and you're good to go. I mean, like 28, that's their bids. So, I mean, you just want to look at like the actual, like there's 100 for 30. There's 50 for $34.75. Those are like Callaway ones. No water balls. I don't know what that is. I'm not a golfer, so.
At least they didn't come out of a pond.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I'm like here's some like 200, 400, like just ridiculous amounts of golf balls. And they do sell.
So you got to do them in bulk then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said there's buckets of them, so.
Yeah, I can
buy. You know, hey, I'll give you $1 for the bucket. How about that? $5. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Look at that.
It is.
I
crazy.
sold some Barbie golf balls the other day.
Barbie.
Yeah, they were. That's actually something I bought on Whatnot, and then ended up. I think when Barbie got popular, they sold almost immediately on eBay. I think so.
Right. So
Sir, I have some Tennessee ping pong balls for you. How about that? They sell. You'd be surprised. Those frat houses, they want them playing ping pong,
Yeah, playing beer pong or whatever. So.
Yeah, there were so many vendors that had like Barbie stuff over at Hillsville. Like I walked into one and I'm like, Barbie literally just threw up in this tent. Like there was everywhere. I'm like, ones I wouldn't even thought of. I mean, and I've sold some Ken dolls in like the wheelchair. I've sold that one. I've sold some like other Barbies like a while back. But I'm like, I've never seen so many freaking Barbies before.
So how much
like
did you
old
buy?
ones, new ones. Huh?
How much did you buy?
None.
None.
No. I'm not doing it because okay. So
You did it on principle, didn't you?
yeah. So okay, the movie came out. So great, yeah. That's why Barbie stuff started selling like hotcakes, right? Before Barbie, like none of that stuff would be selling. I mean, you would get like everyone's like, yeah, I got the 2000 edition Barbie that's been sitting in my closet collecting dust. I'm like, it's like $10. Like it's not $100 Barbie. No, it's worth more than that. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, and all of a sudden Barbie comes out and them things are selling like for $150 to $200, and I'm like, which is great because it helps us out. I mean, but it's just like, can you capitalize on what's current? So if there's like a movie that's coming out, like the new Scream movie that came out, I think it came out like 6 months ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it boosts the price of the Scream mask up, even though they do sell regularly already. But I mean, it's just like anytime a Scream movie comes out, like as soon as a month before the release, like everything boosts up in price. I mean, it's just, can you capitalize on what's current? That's really what a reseller does.
I know that's especially. I have a friend who's big in comic books, and he's constantly trying to figure out like what characters are going to be in the next Marvel movie because as soon as he thinks he knows, he starts buying up all those key issues and things like that. And so, I guess it's just like the stock market; it's very speculative, and he's been wrong before, but when he hits one, he does pretty well. Because a lot of times nobody will have heard of this character until they end up in a movie, and then he's got a bunch of these comics he can go sell.
Mm-hmm.
I know zero about comics. Really, that's not something I deal too much in.
I mean, that's the only thing. So I'll show you. I did pull some items from my trip. So
and speaking of trips like that, where you pull that stuff, Stephen, I mean, anytime you can find those special event type yard sales, like I did 2 this summer. I went to the world's longest yard sale, the 127 yard sale, which goes from Michigan to Georgia. It happens to come through Tennessee. Then I did one over up in your area, Stephen, up above Greensboro. I mean, not necessarily that close to you, but in North Carolina and Virginia, the US 21 yard sale. And I did really well at both those because it's just such a concentration of stuff in a relatively small area. So,
man, I think so. Like special events, places like that, like you can find so much different stuff. I literally talked to a vendor. He does. They do shirts. Like they make custom shirts and everything. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm looking for someone to make me some pretty cheap. That way I can turn around and sell them as merch. And he's like, yeah. He's like, this is like the 6th month we've been to just this month. And I'm like, or like, because it happened just this past, like, so last month, which September, so August, they went to 6 different shows. And then this month they've got 20 scheduled. And I'm like, 20 shows? He's like, yeah. He's like, it's just crazy. And I'm like, hey, more power to you. There's no way I can do that many shows. Like, that's just crazy. But I mean, I guess if you think about it, it's just like Whatnot. Like, I mean, if you go live on Whatnot, it's just like live going to a vendor and setting up, which I think next year, if y'all decide to go, it's Labor Day and Memorial Day. So this week was like their biggest one. So is it Labor Day or Memorial Day this week?
Labor Day.
Labor Day. Okay. I always get them flip-flopped. So yeah, Labor Day sale is always the biggest one. I'm going to say there was probably close to a couple thousand people in that town. Someone was literally selling water. I talked to him. He's like, yeah, we just made $2,000 just today. This was yesterday. And we got there, it was probably like 12. So from 8 to 12, he made $2,000 just selling bottle of water. I'm like, hey, I told my wife, I was like, next year we're gonna set up at Hillsville, and I'm taking all my shoes in my inventory. I was like, I'm gonna sell them. I was like, we're gonna set up. She's like, well, you ain't gonna be able to buy, and I'm like, that's what you're for. I was like, you can go buy. I was like, you go buy stuff. I was like, I'll just set up and sell water and shoes.
Just haul it up there.
Right. I'm like, it's just, I mean, it's just like I said, capitalize on what's current. Like
Mhm.
if you're at a big event like that, like I don't know about the 127 and other yard sales. Like, I mean, is it like that? Like where they've got like tents set up along the
Oh
highway?
yeah.
And,
So I mean, literally the 127 starts up in Michigan. I think it's Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. I think I may be missing one of those states, but anyway, I think it's those 5 states. But yeah, and so as you drive along, like we started in Crossville, Tennessee, and we only made it 30 miles north of Crossville. I mean, because there's just, I mean, every time you'd see a field, there'd be 50 tents set up. Then you go a half a mile, there'd be another field with 50 tents. But the real key is to also look for like actual yard sale signs going off the side roads. And that's where we found a lot of the good stuff because some people don't venture off the main path, so those are more like true yard sales where the people in the fields, I mean, you see a little of everything. I mean, there would literally be some tents that would look like they'd taken their antique mall and moved it under a tent. I mean, the stuff was like really that nice and it was priced that way too. So, I mean, that was everything from junk to really nice stuff and everything in between. But it's just a lot of fun to go and look through it. And I took a friend of mine, we did a little video on it um, and it was, saw a lot of really interesting things.
Well, speaking of what's hot, unfortunately, like your shirt, Stewart, Jimmy Buffett, passing away.
I'm not selling this, so
I was
I
gonna
got
ask
several Jimmy Buffett shirts. They're staying with me, so.
well, all right. So I'm gonna show you a couple items, and I want your opinion. Would you have picked these things up? Okay. All right. So this is ooh, it moved. It is a Warner Brothers tag, made in USA Batman, like made in USA with the DC tag, everything. All right, take a guess.
I mean, I would have picked it up if that was the question. I mean, I'm not a big hat guy, but something like that, I definitely know would have value.
I'd definitely pick it up. I pick up hats all the time.
That's an earlier Batman too, right?
It is. So which one do you think is worth more? It's the same thing, still with the Warner Brothers DC made in USA. Same. It's just two different ones. Because believe it or not, I can't find sold comps on these things.
Really?
So I'm like, do I have the gold mine of Batman hats ever, or were these things mass produced? Because I have no clue. This was out of the Batman lot that I picked up.
Well,
Paid
being out of Warner
$60.
Brothers, they used to have a lot of stores. I know we had one here at the West Town Mall, Stewart, and it's no longer. So
I've sold some Warner Brothers store stuff like cookie jars and things, and they always sell really well.
Maybe I should ask Batman up here.
So you really can't, if you can't find any comps on that stuff. A lot of times what I do on stuff I can't find comps on is I'll do like an eBay auction starting at the absolute minimum I think I would take. And then,
just run it.
I get that, but then you run it and you may get a lot, just start it where you make sure you start it where you'll be happy if it only gets one bid. Because I mean, you're right. If you can't find a comp, sometimes it's hard to like. I don't do many auctions anymore. I used to a lot. I find I have better success with buy it now because it's like impulse buy. People don't want to wait 7 days necessarily to finish an auction. But yeah, certain things. Like I've got a letter I'm getting ready to auction, but I'm trying to do some transcribing of it. It's from 1853. And it's this letter where this person died and they're disputing his will and stuff. And it's got like attachments of his will, but it's got all the, where they were transferring slaves through the will, and it lists them all by name, which like people who like genealogy, they eat up that kind of stuff because it's hard to find records like on African Americans sometimes. So if you have stuff that has their name, that has names in it, I mean, it can be a gold mine. I mean, it's hard to find comps on an exact letter, but comps on these things, depending on the content, can be really, really high. So that's something I'll probably like do an auction starting at $50 or something and just see where it goes. But that might be similar to those hats.
Yeah.
What
I know,
what are you thinking on that, Stephen?
I mean, so the last time where I couldn't find sold comps, it was a Rosemary Babies sealed, stamped Betamax movie. and I'm kicking myself for doing this. I put it up for like $300, and within like matter of minutes, it was sold. And I'm like, crap, I just screwed myself over. Because this was before like sealed, like VHSs and all that stuff was getting graded, and this thing was like, I'm talking about perfect condition. And I got it over at the Goodwill bin store, like something like 50 cents into it. So like with this hat, I couldn't find them. So I'm like, should I just list it for like $100? Made in USA Batman, Warner Brothers, DC, like everything's good on them. So I just list it for $100 and see what happens, and go from there. Or would it be a good item for Whatnot? Since we do sell on Whatnot, that's the only downfall. I don't know.
Well,
I think Whatnot would be tough. Just getting
I do
the.
too.
It's such a eBay reaches such a broad audience. Whatnot, you're limited to however many people you have in your room, and I mean, if you're going to sell on Whatnot, you for sure want to start it at the minimum you would take for it. But I think you could make more on eBay with something like that. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I did pick this up. Here's something I got at a yard sale. Got two of these actually, and they're these porcelain Barbizon World's Fair. They were limited edition, and most World's Fair stuff doesn't sell for crap. But these were $2 a piece, so my wife and I picked them up. And we got home and I started running comps, think, wow, these might sell for something. So I sold the first one for, I think it was $115, and then I just sold this one. I got to ship it out Tuesday. It sold for $95. It's actually going to somebody else here in Knoxville. So that's one of the few World's Fair things that I've ever sold that's like got substantial value to it. But the other just ceramic sun sphere statues. So
there you go. Here's your yard sale find right here.
Man, that looks like some Kiss boots or something there.
I know it's Resell boots.
Those are Resell?
Yeah, those are
Wow.
Resell.
Wow.
They're brand new. How much you think I paid for them?
$8.
$5.
Stewart?
$8.
Steven, you're right on it. $5.
I know my shoes.
What was the original price?
10. I said I'd give them 5. Sold them Friday, $50.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a nice quick turnaround.
Yep.
Yep.
So, are y'all fans of like sealed VHSs?
I mean, I know that they can be worth something. I don't ever really find them that often, but
I want to be, but I've always thought about the deterioration of the videotape. That's the thing that hangs me up. I know, you've got Kevin. He's bringing a lot in, and Harry Tornado. They're doing that, but I don't know.
well, the good thing is if you're selling them sealed, most people aren't going to open them anyway. They're buying them to collect them. I think. I mean, I'm sure there might be some people who open and watch, but.
Sounds like a package lot to me. Hat and
Flip it around. Let's see how tight the seal is. Does it have the watermark on it?
Quit moving, camera. So that's a Warner Brothers sticker on it.
Mm-hmm.
So so this one, believe it or not, is not really worth that much. And then I got this one. This one, the seal is the seal's a little messed up on it, but it's the Batman Returns. The seal, like I said, it's not.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is a reseal on it or what. Because I mean, there's no.
Like or it's it's not in good shape.
But believe it or not, this one. It's a sealed clamshell with with the little security. Quit moving up, camera. What are you doing? Move down.
You're setting.
Move down. There it goes. Yeah. So it's still got this like security tag on it. This one goes for more than that one.
Well, I'm sure it's just that. I'm sure there were 2 bajillion Batman Forever VHS tapes made versus that other one. There were probably a lot less.
I want to say the clamshell was like 60, and then this one was like 25. So, but I mean, I paid 60 for like a whole lot of like vintage Batman stuff, like statues, banks, these like little. It's a CD-ROM game. Like just off of that stuff alone, like I'm gonna be making like close to like $600 just off of that, like little lot stuff. So
When you check the comps on those, were you checking? You know, 'cause I work for CCG. We grade comics, coins, you know, video games, all that stuff. So did you check your comp to graded versus not graded, because grading makes a difference?
I didn't. So let me since we got an expert up in the house, let me
What's
let me
Doug? Hey,
No.
he's sitting up now, Doug.
yeah, look at that. So in your expertise,
Yeah, see, I'm a coin photographer. I'm not a grader, so unfortunately.
But Doug, to be fair, you've seen a lot. I mean, just being around it, surely you've picked up, you know.
Yeah, I see. You know, so we're in different buildings and stuff, so I don't, you know, even though I manage the imaging department of all the companies, I'm not necessarily seeing everything. So again, my career has been a coin photographer, but we do have stuff come through the comic books and stuff like that through my room. So we do get to see it all. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was a reseal or not. You know, one of the biggest keys I know with, you know, like the vintage videos is having the original. What's the term for it? Like Warner Brothers or whatever would have put like a sticker on themselves, like some sort of big banner ad or something like that on the cellophane itself. So that's one big key giveaway that something's original, not rewrapped if it has the original, you know, tags like you showed there with the Warner Brothers sticker on it and stuff, the price tag.
okay. Now, can you forge that pretty easy?
I'm sure some like this. I would imagine the price tag you could, but some of the holographic stuff that, you know, the great video companies put on them and whatnot, that stuff's not easily, you know, um, forged. But who's going to forge a $5 movie back then when it first came out? I mean, I can see if it comes out, if it's worth $10,000 now, yeah, these people are going to be trying to forge it. But, you know, originally, if it's worth $20, nobody's forging that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But they can rewrap it. They could try and rewrap it and make it look original.
Yeah.
So I know Doug said his best yard sale find were those hurricane windows. What about you and you? What about y'all, Wes and Stephen? What's y'all's best yard sale find? I guess what's your best and what's your favorite? They might not be the same.
Mine was I talked about this with Doug the other night, with Ping golf clubs. Got an entire set and the bag. It said Ping on it. A guy from Lenore City. He sold it all to me for $20. And I said, "Are you sure about that?" And he goes, "I know what they are." He said, "I just want them out of my house."
Yeah. So what? So how much have you sold them already?
Oh yeah, they're long gone. 160.
Cool. What about you, Stephen? What's your best yard sale find?
So best yard sale find. It would probably have to be from Friday when we went to Hillsville. I mean, I would consider that a yard sale, like yard sale.
Yeah, I would.
Sale,
I would
whatever
too,
you want
any
to
of
call
those kind of things. I mean, it's not an antique mall. It's not an auction. It's so.
Yeah, I want to say the. So I know, Stewart, you were talking about books a little while ago, right? So you're aware of like the manga books and stuff like that, like the Japanese books and everything else.
Yeah, like the anime stuff and the manga.
So this book right here, I found a set of 7. It was 1 through 7 series. It's not a complete series because it goes to like 15 or 18, whatever it is. But it's this one. And I got, like, the lady had them. She's like, I want to say it was like 30, but she's like, but for you, I'll do 20. And I was like, okay, cool. It was like, for these type of books, yeah, I looked one up and it was going for like a series or a set that was mismatched or not complete was like $300. And that was, I think 7 through 15. And I'm like, I mean, 1 through 7 should go for like, I don't know, like $100. Yeah, I'll do that. But I'm take a guess just on this one. This is number 6. Take a guess on what you think this one's worth. And for people that's watching, whatever channel you're on, I want you to take a guess before I look this. I'm gonna look this thing up on eBay. I want you guys to guess to see how much you think this book, number 6, is worth. And I know, Stewart, you're probably gonna say, well, is it a first edition? What series is it? What year was it printed? So I'm gonna show you this page here. Hopefully it doesn't, probably can't get in close enough.
No, you can see it pretty well. So yeah, so the first yen-owned edition. So I don't know if that means there are other editions, but yeah, it's I mean, and I don't know that much about like anime and manga stuff. So, but maybe, I mean, so you've already comped it. You know what it's worth, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, 125, something like that.
Wesley, what do you think?
I have no clue. I'm gonna say one. I'll say 175.
Doug,
Say $1 because I think the other two are over.
The actual retail price is.
God, money. All right, I'm just gonna show it to you.
All right.
Let me.
And while you're pulling that up, like my only experience with anime stuff, I went to an estate sale here in town one time, and they had like 3. I just happened to go straight to the basement, which is what I normally do because that's usually where there's a lot of books and things like that. But they had 3 whole shelves of anime DVDs, and I don't know a lot about them, but I knew they might could be worth something. They were asking $2 a piece. I just raked every one off all 3 shelves in my bag. Ended up doing a Whatnot show, and this was I'd only been on Whatnot maybe a month or 2 when I did this show. And I ended up making like $1,500 selling those anime. I mean, there were a couple that were going for over $100, you know. And I think I had like 73 of them or something. So if you ever see anime, it's worth picking up because that.
While you're looking that up, Steve, I'm gonna ask a question here about you, Stewart. You just mentioned Whatnot again. Is it possible to have a Whatnot show? Like if all of us were right here, could we all have a show going on? That's not possible.
I mean, you can't, like, you can have a co-host come in, but you can only be selling out of one store. Like all the shipping has to be done by one person. Like, so if you have somebody else sell something who's a co-host, you basically have to get the weight from, print a label, and send it to them, but via PDF. But the risk in that is that I found, like, if I'm doing a show with somebody in California, you know, when I print my label, it's going to have the return address of, you know, my zip code. So, you know, that could be an issue if you ship it out there. It's not really set up for that. I've heard rumors that they're going to try to make it where 2 people, or I don't know if it'd just be 2, but multiple people could be selling in one show. But like I heard that a while back. I haven't heard anything else about it. But yeah, the short answer to your question is no, you can't like sell with somebody else. I mean, you kind of can, but not very gracefully.
So what we need to do is have a meetup then over, let's see, Stu, you and I will cross. We'll go over there and source at the bins over in Concord or somewhere, or Charlotte, and we'll meet up and we'll have a big Whatnot show together. All of us.
Do it. That's what me and Ray did over at FlipCon.
So there's volume 8.
Yeah. So there's this. So I just looked up the name of volume 6. There is no volume 6 listed. Okay. None.
What is that? Volume 8? That top one was volume 8.
Yeah, volume 8.
There's some volume 6.
There you go.
Is that a sold though? Because there's.
Yeah, that's the green. That's the buy it now. Here's another one. Buy it now.
Wow. Wonder what makes
Pre-owned.
that one worth so much.
I don't know. I tried looking at it and I'm like, okay. I looked
Now,
at the.
is yours the hardcover?
It is. Oh, don't show that on. Don't be showing that on YouTube. Yeah, so mine is it is the hardcover,
Huh.
and so just a plain brown book. The 1933 first slash cloudy to rain. There's no spine damage. Like whenever you open up, like you can tell if a book has been like pretty much read. I'm not a reader. I hate reading. So like picking up books is like, why are you doing that? Because you're never gonna read. But I'm like, well, it's because I did a little research on this one. There's no marks on them. There's no bent pages. Nothing on this book. And I'm like, okay. And I asked my wife. I was like, because she reads. I'm like, what is so special about this one? Wait, why is it not showing? Oh, wait, hold on a second.
I don't know. Maybe that one was short printed or something. So
Share this tab instead. Okay, here we go. So yeah, so like same, everything's the same on it, and this one like the edges are good, like, and it's the same. The ISBN number is the exact same on it. Ages 13 and up.
did
And
they
then,
put anything in the description about like that particular book? Like, does it have any information about why it might be rare?
let's see.
It's just got the standard identifiers they pulled from the ISBN number. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, going down the item description from the seller there, see if they put anything in. Nope, just That's interesting that one's worth so much more.
But then, so this is the reason why I showed you the first yen on edition, December 2017. Same exact as this one.
Now, does yours have the numbers? Does yours have the numbers down at the bottom that show the editions too?
Let's see.
See how it's got the 1 through 10 down there at the bottom?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Seems like you should be listing it tonight, so you have the only one on eBay for sale.
Well, so like I said, I was lazy today. But yeah, so my numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2.
Yeah, and you know how to read those, like whenever they do a printing. So if it's got all the numbers, that means it's a first edition. Like if they take away the number 1 and you see all the other numbers, it would be like a second printing. So they remove the numbers, like it starts out with all the numbers there, and then as they print each edition, they take the last number away. So
okay.
That's cool.
I mean, and that's, not every book, especially older ones, don't necessarily always have that convention, but almost all newer books do, and even a lot of books, even a lot of older books do as well. But
so Stewart, why do they do odd and even like that?
It's just, I don't know why they do it in the order they do it, but I mean, it has something with it's easier, like rather than, adding a number each time, like, starting with 1 and they add a 2. It's just, I guess from a printing standpoint, it's easier to take away a number. So, they would just, once they finish the first print run, that 1 won't be on there anymore.
So my question is, so I know nothing about anime, and so how do I want to word this? How do you find stuff like this on eBay to look for? I think that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like, do you just start going on eBay and looking at different divisions? Okay, what's sold in a different division and sort it out, highest price to low. I mean, how would I know that this anime is worth anything if I didn't happen to stumble across it and comp it out?
Well, I know me personally, the manga books, which is Japanese, basically you read them from back to front. I've got some listed on my store, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And you'll be like, how do people read it like that? So let me
Yeah,
postings.
to answer your question, Doug, from my standpoint, I wouldn't. I mean, I don't like that kind of stuff before I go looking for it. I just like if I like with those anime DVDs, I just heard anime might be worth something. And I figured at $2 a piece. Now, I ended up putting $140 something into it because I bought so many. But
Right.
I just had a feeling on those. But just I guess over time, if you specialize in that kind of thing, you just learn. But
It's true.
yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a specific thing you look for and you just start learning, I mean, you could spend an hour at one yard sale making sure you're not missing something. That's the hard part about it. It's like,
Yeah.
you never want to leave.
And
Yeah, and I think it's just what catches your eye. I mean, like with me, so when I found a bunch of these over at Goodwill last year. And we've sold some. I've still got a bunch of these, but and I don't know much about manga, nothing like that. There's someone that I met on Whatnot that's like knows a lot about manga and anime and stuff like that. And there's different things, different features in some of these that are appropriate and not appropriate. So like you have to be very careful on certain ones that you get because you can pick up the wrong one thinking it's the clean one, and then you're like, you open it up and you're like, oh my god, like what is this? But yeah, I mean it's just like, so I know like for this one right here, so I paid up on this one. It's called Claymore. And like it's because it's a whole set of these things. And the way you read it, it's not like our typical book, like you read, front to back. Like you open up a book, you read it from like right to left. With manga, you read it from left to right. So you literally start in the back of the book, and then you read it, and then you flip it over until you get to the front side. It's weird, but just know that any kind of like anime, what if it's like manga, anime, I mean, whatever it is, like I would just take time to look it up because even like this Kirby one, like you wouldn't think that's worth anything, but I mean, like if you get that at a yard sale for like 50 cents, I mean, turning 50 cents into $13 plus shipping. I mean, it's a pretty decent score. So this is like literally opening it up, and that's the back side of the book.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a generational thing too. I mean, I'm going to be 58 years old, so anime was never a part of my life, and so, but I'm sure my daughter, she's in her 30s. I'm sure she knows more about it than I would ever want to know. So, so I guess it's kind of a, pick your poison, I guess, of what you want to try and learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my son. I picked up some shirts that had anime on it, and I just showed him pictures of it. And I said, "What is this?" He goes, "Buy it." He goes, "You'll want it." It sold 2 days later.
Yeah, really?
I mean, it's crazy how well anime does. Because I mean, you gotta think a lot of the stuff started overseas, like Japan and stuff like that. So people here, it's hard for us to get stuff like that unless you pay ridiculous shipping. So when you get it here in the States, it's like people want it so bad. So I bought a statue off of Whatnot, and beautiful statue. Like this thing was like, it retails. It doesn't retail for a lot.
You got that picture, Stephen? Show Doug that picture because you showed me and Stewart. Let's see what he thinks.
Let's see. And now it came in. It came
From
in.
Knoxville, right?
So it made it safely.
It came in. I'll say that, and then I'll tell you about it
in
a second.
In pieces?
No, it didn't come in pieces. Okay, so
wow.
Yeah, and this thing is tall. Like the box is probably about 3 foot tall.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. Okay. So You can't. They're sold out everywhere. You can't find them anywhere. I paid $400 for that thing. There was one listed for like $750 open box. This one was in the box, original box, and everything else. They said it was brand new. I'm like, sweet. Like one sold beginning of this year for $1,400. I'm like, yeah, $400 and I'll make $1,000 off of it. Heck yeah, let's go. Let's do it. I'm over at Hillsville on Friday when it comes in. Get a notification on my door, on my camera, on my front porch. I'm looking. I'm like, no, they did not do what I think they just did. The people I bought that from shipped it in its original box, put tape all over it with the shipping label on it. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I'm still mad about that. I'm like, you literally shipped something I paid $400 for in its original box. So everyone can see what it is. And then now you're going to damage the box because USPS is like, here you go. Boof. Just toss it in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, come on, people. Like, what are you doing? So I reach out to them. And come to find out it's missing another box. It's not even complete. It's not even new. And I'm like, I'm so ticked off. I'm like, y'all need to do something. I literally paid y'all $400 and something for this thing. What are y'all doing?
So what platform did you buy it on, Steven?
Whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm not going to blast them. I'm not going to, like, y'all know who I got it from, I'm pretty sure. But I'm not going to blast them. I'm not going to mention who I got it from, nothing like that. But I will say, I'm hoping they do something about it. Because if not, I'm going to go to Whatnot and be like, what is this crap? Like, this is what you're holding your standards to some of your top tier performers on Whatnot that bring in hundreds of people, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. This is what you guys are doing. Like, come on. So, and I'm a seller.
You're having major regret.
Yes. Well, my wife was like, I don't even know why you bought that thing. I'm like, because I could have made $1,000 off of it. That's why. But not now. Like, it's pretty much like, because the other box that's missing is like the little chains that go like swirl around it. So that's what's missing, and it's in a separate box. And I'm like,
I mean, and technically on Whatnot, I know that like there's no way within the software itself for a seller to do a refund. You have to go through Whatnot, and Whatnot refunds you the money. Now they can send it to you through PayPal or some other, outside the marketplace, but ultimately, it's up to Whatnot whether Whatnot decides to refund your money or not. Is how Whatnot works. But like you said, I mean, if the seller will do something for you, then you're not giving them a mark with Whatnot or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty. I mean, they should know that shipping something the original box, a collectible, and they should know the box is part of the value of the collectible. Yeah, that's crazy.
No.
That is crazy. So
I mean, and they're big about saying, you're not paying for the box, you're paying for the product. But I'm like, when it comes to this stuff like this, like anime, and this is what Douglas was telling you about, anime is so sought after. People want everything original. They want the original box. I mean, because like the box was beat up, it was missing an item. It wasn't even new inside the box, and I'm like, as a seller myself, I pride myself on making sure that I bring great products to my people because my name is everything. Like if I'm on Whatnot, I'm like, I ain't buying crap from him. He sells junk. Like, okay, well there goes one platform where I can just get rid of some old inventory that I don't want anymore. And I'm gonna have to sit on it or donate it or whatever instead of making a couple dollars. And I mean, it's ridiculous.
It'd been different if you bought a crock pot. That's one. That's different. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same way you are. I mean, I've got, I don't know, over 2,000 sales, I think, on Whatnot now. And I mean, I'm still at 5 stars. And I package whether somebody buys one thing for $2 or 10 things for $200. I mean, I'm putting the same care in packing and making sure that it gets there nicely packed and safely. So,
well, like Steven said, that's your reputation, and you break that trust, you tarnish yourself because who's going to buy from you again? It just starts spreading.
I've stopped buying from a lot of sellers because how they package and ship their stuff. There was one guy, we went into a stream. He was like, "Chat, let me know what to run. I'll run everything starting off at $1." He had a pair of brand new Doc Marten boots, white Doc Martens with the black gummy soles. I'm like, run these things. I'll buy them. I got them for $40. He got so ticked off that I bought them for $40 because he spent way more than that. And I'm like, well, that's your fault for starting them off at $1. Like, you just mad because I got them cheaper than what you paid for them. Oh, well. Well, he sends them in a auto parts box that's dirty, barely taped. I'm like, you just shipped some white boots in a dirty parts box. Like
well, he was mad, wasn't he?
I'm not, like, he's like, I bet he's like, I hope this guy gets them. They're all dirty. I hope he can't do anything with them. Well,
I have noticed. I mean, Whatnot's cracking down on the bad sellers on Whatnot. I mean, it was terrible there when they were first letting people in, and what you said, people would get mad because something wouldn't sell for what they, thought it should sell for. I'm like, why'd you start it so low? Start it at what the minimum you want to sell it for. And if you don't sell it, then then at least you're not out the product. And then they'd get mad and not ship it or cancel your order or do whatever. But I know on Whatnot when I sell stuff, I have I have different margin targets for different platforms I sell on, and Whatnot's got my lowest margin target. Now, some shows I'll still do as well as others, but I mean, I start my thing so I hit this certain margin, and it's definitely lower than eBay and Etsy and Mercari and all these others. But I sell a lot of volume. That's the difference. It's the whole fast nickel versus a slow dime, and sometimes you're surprised and you sell something for more than you would have sold it for on another platform. But yeah, I mean, Whatnot, you just got to know how the platform works, what your audience is, and don't start stuff at what you're not willing to take for it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and that's what. So we came up with a strategy, just like how Renzi does. So I'm sure everyone knows who Renzi is. Like, they sell shoes, and it's like they're going to be doing $1 million here on Whatnot this year. And I mean, their strategy is brilliant. So we do almost the same exact thing. So we go to the bin store and we get 30 items. Out of those 30 items, I'll get enough to cover the cost plus an additional 20 to 30%. And all that goes on eBay. Quick movers on eBay, high priced, be able to recoup the money back. And then the rest of that stuff we'll put on Whatnot. And we'll start off at, $10, $10. And whenever I sell on there, say if it goes for 10, I'm still making profit off of that because it's all paid for. Yeah. Where on my book, it looks like I'm losing, but I told my wife, I was like, it's all paid for because eBay's covering the cost for all that stuff. I was like, this is a way for us to be able to move the lower end stuff to be able to recoup more money back in and just to be able to turn that into something else. I was like, that's all that we're doing. And I mean, that's Whatnot for an electronic seller like myself. That's what it is. It's just moving the inventory quick enough to be able to recoup your money and to turn it into something else. That way you can keep having those shows.
Well, I think for me, Stephen, one of the best things that you did on your show or on one of your videos is you were in that store. It may have been Give Me Five. I don't remember. But you pick up that watch and you ended up.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them about that real quick before we have to get out here. I want them to hear that.
Are you talking about the Apple Watch, right?
Yes, the Apple Watch, yeah. Okay.
So we go to the Amazon bin store, and we're over at the one in Concord. So everything is $14 plus tax, which comes out to be $15. And there's no telling what you're going to find. anywhere from junk to really, really great stuff. So this particular day, we're going through the bins, and I'm having a decent day. It's not bad. The wife is with me, so we get double the inventories, which is great. Love it. And my buddy stops me. He's like, "Hey, this kid just found an Apple Watch," and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Which one?" He's like, "It's the Series 7," and I'm like, "Okay." So I'm like, he's walking by, and he's like, "It's that guy right there," and I'm like, "Hey, kid." He stopped and looked at me. He's like, "Me?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You want to sell your Apple Watch?" He was like, I don't know, maybe. I was like, "Well, I'll give you cash money for it right now." Like, I pulled out a wad of money, and it's the first time I ever did this. And I'm like, I pulled out a wad, and I'm like, "Hey, let me start counting it." I'm like, "How much you want for it?" He's like, I don't know. I was like, "I'll give you $100 for it." And he was like, "No, I can't do that." Long story short, we end up settling at, I want to say, like 210. And after looking it up more, and maybe we'll have that model number, it sold for $520 within like 2 days. And I'm like, I'm gonna start bringing cash with me now, and I'm gonna start buying stuff. But I will say, I do have, so I'm officially famous now because I have one hater on YouTube, and they know who they are because they literally have their name called Bearded Bribes. Is their username that they created specifically for my channel, and to leave me a hater comment. I'm like, y'all doing way too much. I'm blushing over here. I appreciate that so much. I love it.
Well, cash
But
is
yeah,
king, though, right? I mean,
and
you know.
there's like, well, you need to have you wouldn't be doing this good unless you're on an even playing field. I'm like, I'm buying stuff out of, I'm literally paying people just to find items. I'm like, they don't have to pay for it out of the money. I was like, I literally gave that kid $210. He walked out of the store with $210. Like, within an hour, he made $210 in an hour.
Yep.
Now, granted, I made a little bit more than that, but still, that's beside the point.
Well,
but I had to pay for the item.
You did a lot more work. You did a lot more work than he did, though. So
Yeah. I'm like,
well, you got to about 175, I think, and he said, "Oh, I'm gonna give this to my sister" or something like that.
yeah.
And you just kept rolling with it until you're like, "I'm gonna get this."
Well, my buddy came by, and he had which worked out perfect. Another guy that I know there, he had a luggage set in his buggy, and he looked at me, and he knew what I was doing. He looked at me, he's like, "Hey, you want to buy this luggage set?" And I was like, "How much does it go for?" And he was like, "It's about $500." I was like, "Done. Meet me here in a little bit." And that kid was like, yeah, I'll do it." He doesn't think I don't know if he thought I was being serious or if I was just messing around, but I'm like, "No, I like." So now, the last time I was there and he was there, me and Ray was with me, Nashville Flippers. We were at FlipCon. He was there. The kid was, and he came up to me. I sold me some motherboards and some other stuff. Lost money on it, but it's okay because it went on Whatnot. And but I'm like, now he knows that I'm serious. Carry cash or Cash App, Venmo, whatever I need to do. And it's not. I don't think it's wrong because I'm paying him for a service. Just like if you go anywhere else and you're paying someone, a waiter or waitress, you're giving them a tip, or you hire an employee to go run errands for you. That's basically what I'm doing, just without the taxes. It's all legit. I give him cash money, he's good to go. He's not in my books, and I don't have to worry about it. Now, if there's any tax people watching this, don't report me, please. It's legal.
I'd actually thought about something like that to kind of beat the goodwill beast, is to basically advertise your resale, and I'll give you 40% of whatever comps are on eBay for whatever you have. Just advertising it. People's like, I get $100 from this guy, or I can just drive it down to Goodwill and get nothing for it. So, I mean, it's basically the same thing what you're doing. They're the middleman. You're just paying the middleman. Duplication.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Doug. That's exactly what I mean. I was talking about. I get a lot of people calling me. 40% is generally my going rate for what I'll pay somebody. And I'm very upfront with them. We'll look up comps together, and I'll generally pay them 40% of what I think I can sell it for. And I just explain to them, that's for my time, that's for the fees I'm going to pay, that's for my packing supplies, and and they're always okay with it. They don't want to have to take the time to list all that stuff. So it's just funny you mentioned 40%, because that's exactly the number I use.
And you're gonna get the you're gonna double your money sometimes on a $10 item, probably. Then you're gonna double your money on a $500 item, and so it's just gonna be a benefit all the way around. But just to get that inroad into the stuff that's flown in the Goodwill, it's just like, okay, how do I just carve a little piece out of that lot?
I mean, and like again, I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. I feel like because I will say this, people would rather make money than donating it. Now, there are some cases where people are like, no, I want to donate it to help out this good cause, which is great. But really look into the cause that you're donating the items to, because some of the causes is not really legit. Just saying, I've found out a couple things where I'm like, that's a little shisty. But I mean, like, for example, Goodwill, right? They have their online platform. They don't take time to clean anything. Like, there was literally a pair of dirty, muddy shoes on there, and they were wanting $200 for it. I'm like, if I would put that on my eBay page, that would never sell in a million years. Like, never. So why do they expect, because they're Goodwill, they expect because they get it for free, they don't have to do any work to it. We'll just take some crappy pictures, post it on our website, and sell it. And then it doesn't sell. Then it goes to the Goodwill bins, and it goes like super cheap, like you see in Harry Tornado's videos. Like, it's got like wrapped up in that plastic wrap, and like it doesn't sell. And I'm like, I understand that they're trying to get the most for it that they can by having an online platform. I get it, but you're getting the items for free. There's a place and time for everything.
Here's an extra rub for you on the Goodwill. They had a news article down here in Florida a few months ago. They were at Goodwill, and they were complaining about the type of stuff that people are donating, that they have to turn around and basically send it to a landfill, and it costs them money to send it to a landfill. So now they're trying to control the stuff that's coming in their door by complaining about the stuff that's coming in their door for free. Yeah, it's just amazing.
I mean, I don't know.
They're a private company. They're a private entity.
You want people to donate, so you have the door wide open for whatever people want to donate. Now, granted, do I agree with some things that people donate? No, like, no one wants your used dirty underwear. Like, don't donate your dirty underwear. That's gross. Like, bras and stuff like that, that's a little bit different. But like, if I was a Goodwill worker and I held up some underwear and I'm like, that is gross. Like, this dude did not wipe at all. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to touch that. And then, like, no one wants that. Like, that's why I don't really like going to the Goodwill bins, because I'm like, I know that there's some stuff there. I know you can make money off of it, but the ones that I've been to over in Charlotte is straight nasty. Like, I'm talking about some roaches up in there, everything. I'm like, I can't do it. The one that's up at my house is not bad, but I'm just like, I can't, because I know people be donating their dirty underwear, and I don't want to touch that. Don't. It's just gross.
Well, all right. Before we get off here, let's answer the question: yard sales, garage sales. Stewart, overrated? Yes or no?
No, absolutely not. I mean, they're definitely. I mean, I think they're properly rated. If you want to go there, they are what they are. You can find some great stuff. There's just not enough of them to make a full-time living off of.
Yeah. Steven, overrated? Yes or no?
My area, yes. It is completely overrated because we don't hardly have any. So in my area, I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, Doug, yes or no?
No, they are not overrated at all. They are my mainstay.
Well, gentlemen, I've had a wonderful time this evening on our first live here on the Finders Flippers Roundtable podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. It's been a lot of fun, and find us again next week. We'll be back. Doug, want to say appreciate you stepping in at the last minute. Johnny is in Florida, and he had to pull out tonight. So thank you, Doug, for rolling in with us tonight.
It's my pleasure. Sorry with the poor lighting.
Well, I hope you guys have a great week in your resale jobs, and you all take care and stay in good health this week.
Hey, have a good evening, everyone. See ya.
Nice to meet you, Stewart. Nice to meet you, Steve. Peace.
Later.
Later.